Hello, my name's Rita Arrigo, and I'm from the National AI Centre in Australia. And today I'm going to take you on a bit of a journey around responsible AI, the opportunity to usher in a better future responsibly, and how we're thinking about that in Australia. So as I said, my name's Rita Arrigo. I'm a strategic engagement manager at the National AI Centre. And today I'm going to share with you a little bit about myself, my background, my expertise, how AI is helping improve our lives today, how Australia is activating AI, and a bit about the Responsible AI Network and how we're really using that to drive this new way of having responsible AI. So a little bit about me. I started my journey in 88, and my first job was to help some amazing secretaries move from typewriters to PCs. And it was an amazing era where women were innovating in such a great way in technology, but it actually even helped me to start to think about the other ways that we could innovate with technology. And it helped me to join a organization where I was working with a whole lot of other kind of engineers and technical people to start to enable their digital journey. At the same time, I realized that there was a lot of techno fear around technology. Not everyone is as enthusiastic as me. So I actually did a radio show on our community radio station to help bring in this kind of, reduce techno fear, make it more exciting, and really start to bring in some of the benefits of technology. And at that time, the internet was born, and we all started using browsers, and it was so exciting. And I ended up joining our telco when they used to call the internet the big pond, because it was like a big pond where you could fish. And it really helped me to understand more about the web. And of course, as I got into the web and we learned about, what's possible with the internet, I started working for digital agencies, and I really started to learn a lot about user interface and how to make technology more human and easier to use, and, the user experience. And that led me to end up working for Microsoft, which was really exciting era, because during the era of Microsoft as a digital advisor, where I'm helping a lot of organizations on their digital transformation journey, I became an AI ambassador. So I learned about AI, and I learned about the ways that we could use machine learning to really improve what we were doing with our environment and with our banking and with our health and with our infrastructure. And that led me to work for the Center of Industrial AI Research and Innovation at RMIT. And I also rekindled my roots as an engineer and worked for an amazing engineering company called Fraser Nash Consultancy. And it's through this experience that led me to be part of the National AI Centre, where we have an objective to really uplift AI in Australia. I just want to talk about some of these funny photos over here. So this is actually me at Australia's first internet cafe when PCs were so big. This is COVID in Melbourne, where we had the world's longest lockdown. We were locked down for 100 days in 2021, 2022. And Satya Nadella actually came into my room right here where I'm doing this broadcast. And this is me as part of the work I've been doing in, demystifying holographic computing. And I actually do have my own HoloLens. So you'll see that I'm very passionate about new ways of being able to use computing and how we're going to move from, the phone to these new technologies. So let's talk a little bit about AI in our world. So right now, AI touches so many things that we do. These are like my personal experiences with AI. So I first really got into it at Microsoft when we were involved in a hackathon to use computer vision to improve the lives of people that were low sighted. So Seeing AI is actually an app that you use on your phone, and it takes photos of people around you and allows you to understand their gender, their age, and their emotion. And this was groundbreaking for people who were low sighted, because it also allowed them to read, to check barcodes, to be able to um, make sure they weren't wearing checks and stripes, all these kind of things. So the possibilities for computer vision were so exciting, and we're seeing it a lot at the moment. This is actually really interesting. This human body, it's actually a holographic human body where some anatomy students are analyzing all the different layers in a human body using a HoloLens, and they see a 3D object. And this has really been expanded down to left-hand corner, where now not only are you able to see 3D objects when you're together in the same room, but you can be in different places, like you can be in Mexico or Argentina or New York, and you can actually come in as a hologram, or in this instance, like you can holoport in, and you're able to like look at this 3D images together. And that's really revolutionizing healthcare. And we've seen that really happen during our pandemic, where we weren't able to travel as much and we needed to get specialist work. Of course, we've had GPT chat has exploded this year, but prior to that, in my role at Microsoft, I worked extensively with chatbots, to the extent that we used to talk about Toby, who's in Europe, who works for Vodafone, and he takes 1.6 million contacts per month, and it's super successful. People like HP, who are using chatbots to solve some of their customer service challenges. And of course, Microsoft, that has, you don't call Microsoft anymore, you actually talk to a chatbot that's been trained by 1 million chatbot logs and a range of different articles. And it's actually getting much better penetration than being on the phone and waiting to speak to someone, because you get much better data. I've also done a lot of work in the environmental space, actually taking a model that came from South America and moving that model into Queensland to protect an endangered species known as the tinker frog. So what this model allowed environmentalists to do is to be able to use the sound, the audio from the forest, to be able to calculate how many tinker frogs, and therefore be able to know how to protect them better. So the world of environmental protection and biodiversity is really being supported by AI at the moment, and there's so much we can do as we enter this, really scary time of climate change, to protect our biodiversity and also to manage our climate. It's also really big in sport. So this is actually an app here that you see where students are practicing their sport, and the app will give them hints on how to improve the way they're playing. So that's a Google from Google. Also, here you see this amazing Nerf. So this is an AI technology known as a Nerf, where you're actually able to take a 2D image and it turns it into a 3D image. And this kind of stuff is so exciting as we start to bring in, all the stuff around us, and we want to be able to have a better idea of what's going on with it spatially. And we really go into this spatial world where we can use AI to really improve what we're doing in the physical space. And a great example is this one over in the middle here, where you have two guys and they are laying bricks, but they're not using string to figure out how to lay the bricks. They're actually using a HoloLens, and the HoloLens is providing a digital grid for them to be able to construct things that are very difficult to construct. And this is an amazing innovation in construction. And I'm really seeing a lot of these kind of, the challenges that we have being reduced by being able to use these new technologies. So that's a little bit about my AI in my world. So let's talk a little bit about what are some of the challenges that we're seeing, and what is Australia doing in activating in activating Australia's AI capability. So we're broadening our skill base and really making effort to uplift the skills of Australians and that they need to succeed in this AI-enabled world. We're working really closely with business to build values, principles, practices, and tools around responsible AI, diversity and inclusion, and AI at scale, to really implement AI going beyond the prototype and into a more at-scale situation, and also amplifying Australia's AI capability and our ecosystem to foster this thriving environment and investment and talent to benefit to our society. So at the same time, Australia's been a big leader in responsible AI. We're one of the first countries in the world to have a development of our Australian AI ethics principles in 2019. And you can see the Australian AI ethics principles documented. And, we came up with 8, and it's around human and society, environmental well-being, having human-centered values, and that's something that's very close to my heart, having worked in user experience and those kind of areas. Fairness, privacy protection and security, reliability and safety, transparency and explainability, contestability and accountability. And this has been super exciting. But the next step that we're really looking to do is to kind of take a lot of these challenges and start to think about how we implement them. Because AI has an emerging issue, global issue. So already we're seeing that people are suggesting that AI needs to be fair and ethical for everyone. And Stable Diffusion, for example, is running a court case that, as it violates a lot of the rights of artists in what they're doing. Facial recognition has been pulled by Microsoft to only be used by certain people and people that can align to their ethics principles. So that amazing facial recognition tool that I showed you in the beginning, that was being used by different people, different organizations, and the data just wasn't unbiased enough, and they were getting results that were inaccurate. And so now you have to do a lot more work to be able to use those facial recognition tools to prove that you're going to use them in an ethical way. All the challenges around deep fake, the challenges around news and what's going on with that. And, all this stuff that's happening now with GPT chat. And I like to tell this story, like imagine in the old days when we didn't have cars, and cars emerged. We had to start thinking about regulations. We had people they were building the DeLorean and putting all these amazing features into cars. But, it didn't become illegal to have airbags or seatbelts or licenses or roads or all these things. It was kind of all behind regulation. And so, we're thinking about how do we avoid some of these kind of challenges and problems. And one way that we're thinking about that is to think about a responsible AI network. So in Australia, we've established the world's first cross-ecosystem collaboration aimed at establishing and sharing best practice in responsible AI. So we're bringing together experts and commercial organizations and practitioners so that we can rapidly get ahead of the curve so that we're not retrofitting behind, and share responsible AI best practices so we can lead in AI in a way that benefits businesses and communities. And we're working in 6 key pillars. So that's 6, here we go, around law, standards, principles, governance, leadership, and technology. And this is really going to help us to be leaders in responsible AI. And we're finding that, there is real benefits in doing this. We've recently launched a report which studied a heap of Australian companies, and that we know that there is potentially worth 315 billion in the Australian economy by 2028, and AI could be worth 22 trillion in the global economy by 2030. But what we found in our study is that people that implemented AI had additional revenue. They had over $300,000 of additional revenue realized. And they also found that they had savings of 30% on their existing processes. So there's a real reason to innovate with AI because it can make for competitive advantage. So last week, I was lucky to work with these amazing responsible AI network knowledge partners, where we're looking at helping to uplift the Australian economy in this way. And so we're working with Standards Australia, we're working with the Tech Council, working with Human Technology Institute at UTS. We're working with the Australian Information Institute Association. We're working with CEDA. We're working with Gradient Group, and of course, CSIRO Data 61, who is our national science agency, is doing extensive work in the space of responsible AI, and we're looking at sharing that with all of Australian commercial organisations. At the same time, we're also launching an Australian ecosystem directory. So you can visit the National AI Centre and have a look at some of the work that our AI capabilities, some of the things that we're doing. We've got some amazing companies. This company is amazing. It's called Vapor. They're using computer vision for the inspection of pipes. We don't need to go down and, have people physically inspecting things anymore. We can actually use AI to dramatically improve that and really improve our infrastructure. We also have people like University of New South Wales with a business AI lab and a range of other startups that you can find within this directory. And this is the first of its kind in Australia. So we're super excited to be able to bring that to the Australian community. So I'd like to thank you. If you want to connect with me, you want to find out more about responsible AI, my name is Rita Arrigo. I'm available on LinkedIn. You can also visit the National AI Centre website. That's available at csiro.au/NAIC. Then you can look at some of our reports and start to look at some of our content. And I really look forward to being part of this new responsible AI uplift that's going to make such a big impact to our world. Thank you very much.